Greetings to my friends and fellow Reds. So, after an absolutely spineless and awful performance against Spurs, United needed to bounce back. Newcastle away, the two games were punctuated by an international break of a couple of weeks. And I guess as football fans, we all hope that our players come back from these internationals unscathed. So, amongst many of the talking points with respect to the Newcastle game was, would Harry Maguire retain his place? He'd had an awful game against Spurs. He'd had an awful game for England in which he was red carded. And of course, the long knives were out to get him. But Harry did play, and I think Harry answered his critics pretty well. Now, I've got to say, when I saw the team lineup, I was pretty much bricking myself. Clearly, our intrepid manager had one eye on the game to follow against PSG. So he did ring in some changes, and it was a very unfamiliar starting lineup. Of course, we were without Anthony Martial after that absolutely ridiculous red card against Spurs. But be that as it may, we also heard that Mason Greenwood had picked up a bit of a knock. So we lined up with David de Gea in goals, the back four of Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Lindelof recalled to the team much to my chagrin, and Luke Shaw. He played a 4-2-3-1 and the holding midfielders McTominay and Fred. The three in front of them, Juan Mata on the right, Bruno in the centre, I guess the number 10 role, Dan James on the left, and Marcus Rashford up front. Now, I have to say, when I saw that side, I was not happy at all. And particularly what irked me was starting off with Mata in the right wing spot, because Mata doesn't have the legs to play in that area. But as I will discuss later, he turned in a fabulous performance on the night. So the game couldn't have started any worse. We were a goal down within the second minute. Jonjo Shelvey had free range of midfield, McTominay and Fred doing absolutely nothing to try and stop him. The ball got swept in towards the box, cannoned off Luke Shaw, and De Gea was wrong-footed, own goal, a goal down in 2 minutes. Now, of course, that can be shattering to the confidence, and I have to say that United came back very well. We saw Bruno not scoring, putting the ball into the net, but the goal being disallowed because of offsides, and the VAR was correct. It was offsides. We then saw Harry Maguire get a fabulous equaliser, and something that I'd like to see him do more often. He rose very well to Mata's corner and nodded the ball into the far corner. Parity. Now, a key moment at 1-1 was a sublime save by De Gea from the feet of Callum Wilson, which kept us in the game. Of course, we won our customary penalty. I have to say, when it was given for a foul on Marcus Rashford, I was somewhat skeptical. I didn't think it was a penalty. In watching the replays, there's certainly contact by the Newcastle lad, and anyway, it's academic, because their keeper pulled off an absolutely brilliant save. So Bruno's first penalty miss. Now, a lot of people would have dropped their heads, wouldn't have been able to play on very well, but credit to him. He continued probing, trying the unexpected, and of course, scoring our second goal as late as the 85th minute. We rallied really late in the game. So the 4-1 scoreline, I think, is somewhat flattering. But what a goal that was. Really, I think that goal will go down on United's greatest hits video, without a doubt, because it's the typical swashbuckling breakaway play of just a few passes. Bruno, in fact, wins the ball. Van der Beek gets the ball, puts in a really good pass to Mata. Mata, first time pass, terrific to Rashford out on the left flank. And you see Bruno sprinting onto the outside, taking the ball with a fabulous first touch and curling it around the goalkeeper. Now, that description doesn't do it justice, and if you were on planet Mars and missed the game, I urge you to get hold of the goals on YouTube, because that was really a fabulous goal. And then 2 more goals followed. Wan-Bissaka, his first goal for the club, smashed the ball into the top corner. Really nice goal on his 50th appearance. Hopefully the first of many, but I somehow doubt it. But nevertheless, terrific goal. And then, of course, we scored a 4th when Rashford was put through with a brilliant through ball by Bruno yet again. And again, watch this goal. Any aspirant strikers, watch his first touch, because that's what creates it. And he skewers the ball past the goalkeeper. And eventually we run out pretty easy 4-1 winners. So at the end of the day, a really good result. But what about the state of play, player ratings, etc.? Well, I thought for periods of the game we really struggled. The passing wasn't very accurate, a little bit lackluster. And when Newcastle were a goal to the good, they put a lot of men behind the ball, and we really have difficulty breaking them down. But eventually we were able to. There are those that disagree with me, but for me the turning point in the game was seeing Fred substituted. Pogba came on, didn't contribute that much, but he was, going forward more than Fred was, and Fred was losing possession a hell of a lot of the time. Another key substitution was Donny, as they call him in Holland, Van de Beek, as we call him in South Africa, Van de Beek. He's got a fabulous touch on the ball, and really an economy of touches, 1 or 2 touch, and he can change the flow of the game. So for me, this guy I think we'll see a lot more of. I think he was a good acquisition, and that really was good to behold, some good midfield play. So what about ratings and individual performances? David de Gea in goals I thought was excellent. He pulled off several good saves. As I mentioned, that shot from Callum Wilson kept us in the game. And of course, his confidence must have really taken a bit of a dive after shipping in 6 against Spurs. He saved well from the tricky St. Maxim in the first half, and it looked like he'd sustained quite a significant shoulder injury, but he was able to carry on. He gets 8 out of 10 for me. Wan-Bissaka took his goal very, very well. He did get forward better. He was not as solid as he normally is defensively. That tricky Frenchman gave him some difficulty, but nevertheless a reasonable performance. He gets 7 out of 10. Victor Lindelof, well, Lindelof for me doesn't cut it. He was turned so easily in the build-up for the Newcastle goal. For me, he's a soft touch. He's not aggressive enough. He backpedals too much. He's insecure under the high ball. I thought he had a poor game yet again, 3 out of 10. Harry Maguire, well, kudos to Maguire. After a really difficult couple of weeks, he bounced back, took his goal well, played reasonably well, although when Callum Wilson got in that shot, I thought that he was a bit slow in trying to get his head to the ball, but 7 out of 10 for Harry. Luke Shaw, the own goal was unfortunate, can't fault him. He did bomb forward quite a lot, put in a few good interceptions and tackles, 7 out of 10. Scott McTominay, when Fred was on the field, McTominay was fairly anonymous. I know he does a lot of the sort of spade and donkey work, but he improved once Fred went off the field. He gets a 6 out of 10. Fred, I thought, was dire. He kept giving the ball away. I thought he had a very poor game. There are those that disagree. For me, he doesn't make our starting lineup. He gets a 3 out of 10 on the night. Juan Mata. What I loved about Mata on the night is that he roamed. He wasn't stuck out on the right wing. He had a few good goal attempts. He was involved in at least 2 of the goals. I thought he was terrific. Can you imagine Mata's football brain if he had the legs of Dan James, for example? Pace is the one thing that he lacks. So he's got to play in the small spaces. You can't expect him to go sprinting around. He doesn't have the legs to do that. But what a great football brain. And he really dictated much of the tempo of the game. He also gets 8 out of 10. He was my man of the match. Bruno Fernandes, well, maybe blotted his copybook a little bit by missing the penalty. But he stuck to it manfully. His goal that he scored was absolutely brilliant. He doesn't hide away. He marshals the troops. His leadership material, he gets an 8 out of 10, and generally he was described as man of the match, although I gave it to Mata. Dan James, better than he has been in recent times, but a one-trick pony. Yes, he's got pace, he can beat a man or two, but then he seems to run out of ideas, and Dan James needs coaching. There's no question about it. He gets a 6 out of 10 on the night. Marcus Rashford, I thought, had an excellent game. He played as a lone striker. He did well in that role. He was full of pace. He looked dangerous every time he got the ball. A much improved performance from him, 8 out of 10. Substitutes, Paul Pogba. Well, he got forward. I think Pogba is far better in a forward midfield role than a defensive midfield role. Didn't contribute all that much, but he did change the pace of the game. He gets a 6 out of 10. Van der Beek was only on for a matter of about 20 minutes, but in that time he made his presence felt, didn't put a foot wrong. I thought he did nicely in terms of the build-up for that second goal. 7 or 8 out of 10 I'll give him. And Nemanja Matic came on in injury time deep into the game. Can't really rate him. As for our manager's performance, I didn't enjoy his tactics initially. I thought that the game changed when the midfield changed, but certainly it was a rank improvement on the Spurs game. 6 out of 10 for Ollie. So we move on to Champions League football. PSG coming up next. Wow, that's a tough ask. Very difficult one to call. We've got players missing through injury, so it's going to be fascinating to see what the starting lineup is. And once I report on that game, if you see me wearing the red shirt, you'll know that we've won the game. I'm not so sure, to be honest, that I'll be wearing this shirt in speaking to you about the PSG game. But here's hoping. All we ask for is a committed, strong performance from the players. Let's see how it goes. Take care, and I'd welcome any comments you care to offer. Cheers.